In this video, I'll demonstrate how to create a campaign and then how to use a report to attach contacts to that campaign. The first step is to create the campaign, so we should go to the Campaign Activities tab for that. There's two basic ways you can create a campaign. You can use the New button on the tab on this section where it says Recent Campaign Activities, or you can clone an existing campaign. I'll walk you through each of those options. So first, let's click the New button. When you click the New button, we're creating a new campaign from scratch, and the first step toward doing that is to select a campaign type. We've got 5 basic campaign types that we use in WaterGrass. At the bottom you'll see a description of some of them. For this example, let's just select the fundraising activity type and hit continue. When we get to the Edit Campaign tab or page, you'll see that we've got one required field. That's the activity name. You don't really have to fill out any other field on this page in order to save the campaign. But let's type a test campaign activity name and look at a few of the other fields on the page. You'll definitely want to check the active box on the page, especially if you want to attach campaign members. That's required for attaching contacts or leads to a campaign. You can also set the status. Maybe it's planned or in progress, and when it's done you'll want to set it to completed. You can set start date, end date. You can select a master campaign if this campaign is part of some larger campaign. There's also some budget and expectations fields at the bottom. When you're done, you just click Save, and we've got a new campaign set up. If we go back to the Campaign Activities tab, the home shows you that we've got our list of recent campaign activities, and at the top is the test campaign activity that we just created. Now the other option is to clone a campaign. For example, if we have an event that occurs yearly and we want to copy the campaign from the previous year to set up a campaign for the current year, we can do that by cloning a campaign. We don't see the campaign we want in the list. For example, we can then use, we've got the All Active Campaigns view at the top here selected. We can just hit the Go button, and that's going to show us all of the existing active campaigns. Then we can scroll down the list and find the campaign we want. So let's say it's this Fall 2011 fundraising dinner. I can select that, and then I can just press the Clone button, and that's going to create a new campaign with the values from the previous campaign that I cloned. The one thing you'll want to make sure you do is change the name, because it copies the exact same name. So here I'm going to put 2012 for the current year. I'm also going to check the active box to make it active, and I'm going to set this to in progress. Those two fields do not copy, so you do have to set the active box and you do have to set the status if you want to change those. Then again, I just hit Save, and it'll create my campaign. Now once we have the campaign created that we want to attach contacts to, the next step is to generate the report for it. And when we generate reports to try to add contacts to a campaign, we have to keep one thing in mind, and that's the report has to use the contacts object. You have to include contacts and at least one contact field in the report in order to be able to add contacts to a campaign. Only contacts and leads can be added as members to a campaign. You cannot add accounts. So this will guide us when we create our new report. We have to select the proper report type. So I'll click New Report. You'll see on the left the various report types and particular folders that categorize them. Examples of what I could use in the Accounts and Contacts folder would be the Contacts and Accounts type, or perhaps the Accounts with Contact Roles type. This is, for example, if I wanted to find all the contacts in a particular zip code, I could do a report using that contact field to do a search and then return those contacts. Another option would be to use the contributions category of reports. Within that, you'll see contributions with contact roles. That's one that you could use to, for example, find all the contacts that have given a contribution to a specific campaign or given a certain size contribution, and then I can run a report on those contacts and add them to my current campaign. Another one you could use is the campaign activities folder. There we have, for example, the campaign activities with contacts. What that'll enable us to do is grab all the contacts that are members of a campaign activity and attach them to the new campaign. So, for example, if I wanted to grab all of the members from last year's campaign and attach them to this year's campaign, I could do that. And that's what I'm going to use for this example. I'm going to grab that report type and I'm going to hit create. When it first opens, it's going to throw up this little error because it requires a value for the campaign activity. And we can just do click the lookup icon and find that last year's report to use for our campaign activity name. And it's at the top because it's one that I just accessed recently. And then when I select that, you're going to see it automatically populates the report with the activity name and contact first name and last name for all the members who belong to that campaign activity. You do, as I said before, want to make sure you have at least one contact-related field on the report in order to add the contacts to the campaign activity. And why that is, I'll show you when we run this report. If you want to save the report, make sure, of course, that you save the report, but I'm just going to run the report right now. And that gives me my list of 11 records with the first and last name. And you'll see over here on the right an Add to Campaign Activity button. That button is our magic button that's going to allow us to add all of these contacts to our new campaign. So we're going to click that. And again, you needed to have a contact field and contact object report type in order to see that button. If you don't have a contact report type and contact fields in your report, that button will not display, and so you'll have to go change the report in order to get that button to show up. When I click that button now, you'll see that it pre-populates the campaign activity based on the campaign activity that I had selected for my report. That is only going to happen when you run that particular campaign activity type of report. When you run the other reports, it will just probably be blank here, and you'll just need to look up the report you want by clicking this icon. In this case, I know that I just need to change the 1 to a 2, and I'll get the campaign activity that I created for the new year's campaign. You also need to set a member status. The default is added to campaign, and that's what we'll want to use in this case because we're just adding members to the campaign. The status will become more important later when you, for example, send out an email blast to this list of contacts, and then you want to capture whether they responded or not, or you want to capture that they contributed based on that email blast, or they attended an event based on that email blast. So in this case, we're going to leave it as added to campaign. You have a couple other options here. You can, if they are existing members, you can override their status, or you can not override their status. They're all new here, so I'm going to leave it as is. The other thing to keep in mind, if you did run a contribution report, for example, that had contacts listed more than once, it will not create duplicates. It will only create one instance of each contact as a member of the campaign. You can't duplicate members. So if a member is already an existing, or a contact is already an existing member on a campaign, it's okay to include them in the report. It's not going to duplicate them. When I'm done, I just hit the Add to Campaign Activity button. It's going to pop up a message here saying 11 new members have been added to the campaign activity that I selected, and then I'm done. So I can just hit the Done button. Now when I come back over to my Campaign Activities tab and I select my Fall 2012 Fundraising Dinner, if I scroll down, I can use the link here or to preview it, or I can just click it and go down to my campaign activity member list. If I view the full list, I'm going to see all 11 members that I added through that contact report. If I want to, I can edit the information here by clicking the edit link. I can remove members if I decide that I don't really want them to be members. Let's say I decide they've moved or they are no longer interested in this campaign, so I don't want to include them in my email blast. I can use the remove link to remove them. I can also add new members if I click the add members link up here. I can search for members based on particular criteria. I can set fields and values and operators to create a new list of members, either contacts or leads, to add as members to this campaign. So that is how you create a campaign activity and generate a report, and then add all those contacts from the report as campaign activity members. Thank you for watching.